Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 576, The Last Seed. Intermediate. The dust blew across the cracked ground, a constant reminder of Earth's past. Elara, a botanist, adjusted her goggles. For years, humanity had lived under domes, the outside world a barren memory. Her mission? Find anything green, anything alive. Today, her scanner beeped, not for a plant, but for an old buried structure. It was a research facility, forgotten for centuries. Inside, the air was still, thick with the smell of decay and old metal. Elara's light beam cut through the darkness. In a sealed chamber, on a pedestal, lay a single object. It pulsed with the soft green light. Not a seed she recognized, but something entirely new. It felt alien. Her portable lab quickly identified it. This was no Earth plant. It was an extraterrestrial seed, designed for terraforming, to make dead planets live again. But it needed a specific energy signature to activate, a frequency only found in the deep, unstable core of the old power plant miles away. Retrieving it would be dangerous. The plant was active, but barely, and highly unpredictable. Elara knew the risks. If she failed, this last hope would be lost. If she succeeded, Earth could breathe again. She contacted her base, but the signal was weak. They wouldn't understand the urgency. This was her choice. She travelled for 2 days, navigating collapsed highways and dust storms. The power plant loomed, a skeletal giant against the grey sky. Inside, broken machinery hummed with erratic energy. Automated security drones, relics of a past era, still patrolled. They were slow, but their lasers could easily melt her suit. Elara moved carefully, using her knowledge of the old blueprints she'd found. She dodged the drones, their red beams narrowly missing her. Finally, she reached the core chamber. A single glowing crystal vibrated with the exact frequency the seed needed. She had to extract it without causing a meltdown. With trembling hands, she used a specialized tool to carefully detach the crystal. The plant groaned, power fluctuations shaking the ground. She moved fast, escaping just as the chamber sealed itself, the crystal safely in her shielded container. Back at the research facility, Elara placed the crystal next to the seed. The green light intensified, then pulsed outwards, covering the room. It wasn't a violent burst, but a gentle expanding wave. The dust on the floor began to shimmer, then subtly shift. Tiny, almost invisible sprouts emerged from the cracks. Elara watched, tears in her eyes. The seed wasn't a quick fix, but a patient promise. It would take decades, maybe centuries, but Earth was healing. Humanity wouldn't just live under domes anymore. They would live on Earth again. The last seed had found its home, and the world had found its future. Vocabulary notes. Cracked. Adjective. Definition. Broken without separating into parts, having lines on the surface where it is broken. Example. The dust blew across the cracked ground, a constant reminder of Earth's past. Similar words. Fractured. Split. Fissured. Barren. Adjective. Definition. Of land. Too poor to produce much of any vegetation. Empty and not interesting or attractive. Example. For years, humanity had lived under domes, the outside world a barren memory. Similar words. Unproductive. Desolate. Infertile. Empty. Beeped. Verb. Past tense of beep. Definition. made a short, high sound. Example, today her scanner beeped, not for a plant, but for an old buried structure. Similar words, bleeped, chirped, sounded. Facility, noun. Definition, a place, amenity, or piece of equipment provided for a particular purpose. Example, it was a research facility, forgotten for centuries. Similar words, establishment, institution, center, plant. Decay, noun. Definition, the state or process of rotting or decomposition, the process of decline or deterioration. Example, inside the air was still, thick with the smell of decay and old metal. Similar words, decomposition, rot, deterioration, decline. Pedestal, noun. Definition, the base or support on which a statue, obelisk, or column is mounted. Example, in a sealed chamber on a pedestal lay a single object. Similar words, base, stand, support, plinth. Pulsed, verb, past tense of pulse. Definition, produced a regular, rhythmic beat or throb. In this context, it refers to light appearing and disappearing rhythmically. Example, it pulsed with a soft green light. Similar words, throbbed, vibrated, flashed, rhythmically. Alien, adjective. Definition, belonging to a foreign country or nation, unfamiliar and disturbing or distasteful. In science fiction, it often means from another planet. Example, not a seed she recognized, but something entirely new. It felt alien. Similar words, foreign, strange, unfamiliar, extra-terrestrial. Extra-terrestrial, adjective. Definition, of or from outside the Earth or its atmosphere. Example, it was an extraterrestrial seed designed for terraforming. Similar words, alien, cosmic, unearthly. Terraforming, noun. Definition, in science fiction, the process of transforming a planet or moon so that it resembles the Earth and can support human life. Example, it was an extraterrestrial seed designed for terraforming to make dead planets live again. Similar words, planetary engineering, environmental modification for space. Signature, noun. Definition, a distinct mark, characteristic, or sound indicating identity. Here it refers to a unique type of energy. Example, but it needed a specific energy signature to activate, a frequency only found in the deep, unstable core. Similar words, characteristic, pattern, mark, indication. Frequency, noun. Definition, the rate at which something occurs or is repeated over a particular period of time or in a given sample. Here it refers to a specific wave property, like in radio waves. Example, a frequency only found in the deep, unstable core of the old power plant. Similar words, oscillation rate, wavelength, related concept. Unpredictable, adjective. Definition, not able to be foreseen or known in advance, uncertain. Example, the plant was active but barely, and highly unpredictable. Similar words, erratic, volatile, changeable, uncertain. Urgency, noun. Definition, importance requiring swift action. Example, they wouldn't understand the urgency. This was her choice. Similar words, immediacy, criticalness, pressing need. Navigating, verb, present participle of navigate. Definition, planning and directing the route or course of a ship, aircraft, or other form of transport, especially by using instruments or maps. Here, moving through a different area. Example, she travelled for 2 days, navigating collapsed highways and dust storms. Similar words, steering, guiding, traversing, finding one's way. Loomed, verb, past tense of loom. Definition, appeared as a shadowy, indistinct, and often menacing form, especially one that is large or threatening. Example, the power plant loomed, a skeletal giant against the grey sky. Similar words, emerged, appeared, ominously, towered. Skeletal, adjective, definition, resembling a skeleton, especially in being very thin, here referring to the bare, exposed structure. Example, the power plant loomed, a skeletal giant against the grey sky. Similar words, gaunt, bony, bare, structural. Relics, noun, plural of relic. Definition, an object surviving from an earlier time, especially one of historical or sentimental interest. Example, automated security drones, relics of a past era still patrolled. Similar words, remnants, artifacts, remains, vestiges. Patrolled, verb, past tense of patrol. Definition, kept watch over an area by regularly walking or travelling around it. Example, automated security drones, relics of a past era, still patrolled. Similar words, guarded, surveyed, monitored. Blueprints, noun, plural of blueprint. Definition, a detailed plan or scheme, a design or technical drawing. Example, Elara moved carefully, using her knowledge of the old blueprints she'd found. Similar words, plans, designs, schematics, diagrams. Vibrated, verb, past tense of vibrate. Definition, moved or made something move continuously and rapidly to and fro. Example, a single glowing crystal vibrated with the exact frequency the seed needed. Similar words, quivered, shivered, trembled, oscillated. Meltdown, noun. Definition, an accident in a nuclear reactor in which the fuel rods melt through their containment and release radioactivity. Figuratively, a complete failure or collapse. Example, she had to extract it without causing a meltdown. Similar words, collapse, catastrophe, disaster, failure. Detached, verb, past tense of detach. Definition, separated or disconnected something from something else. Example, with trembling hands, she used a specialized tool to carefully detach the crystal. Similar words, separated, unfastened, disconnected, removed. Groaned, verb, past tense of groan. Definition, made a deep, inarticulate sound in response to pain or despair. Here the sound of machinery under strain. Example, the plant groaned, power fluctuations shaking the ground. Similar words, rumbled, creaked, moaned. Fluctuations, noun, plural of fluctuation. Definition: irregular rises and falls in number or amount, a state of continual change. Example: the plant groaned, power fluctuations shaking the ground. Similar words: variations, changes, oscillations, instability. Shimmer, verb. Definition: shone with a soft, slightly wavering light. Example: the dust on the floor began to shimmer, then subtly shift. Similar words: gleam, glint, sparkle, glimmer. Subtly, adverb. Definition: in a way that is so delicate or precise as to be difficult to analyze or describe. Here, a small, hard-to-notice change. Example: the dust on the floor began to shimmer, then subtly shift. Similar words: faintly, delicately, slightly, imperceptibly. Sprouts, noun, plural of sprout. Definition: a shoot from a plant, also a verb, to begin to grow. Example: tiny, almost invisible sprouts emerged from the cracks. Similar words: shoots, seedlings, buds. Story written by Gemini Pro AI. Image created by Imagio AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving into this incredible sci-fi short story, The Last Seed. And it's really all about loss, but also hope, and this monumental task of, bringing a dead world back to life. And right from the jump, the story just drops you into this scene. I mean, this one sentence, it's not just describing the scenery, right? It tells you everything. The Earth, as we know it, it's gone. What's left is just this broken landscape, a reminder of everything that's been lost. So here's the setup. In this future, what's left of humanity is surviving, but they're stuck in these domes. Our main character, our hero, is a botanist named Elara. Her whole reason for being is to find the one thing that's completely vanished: life. I mean, can you imagine? She's out there looking for a splash of green in a world that's just dust and decay. The story uses this phrase, a barren memory, to describe the world. And that word choice, man, it's so important. Barren isn't just about poor soil where you can't grow stuff. No, it goes deeper. It captures this total desolation, the complete emptiness of hope. That's the reality Elara is up against. And just when you think it's completely hopeless, her scanner goes off. But here's the twist. It's not a plant. It's leading her to this old, forgotten research facility. And this moment right here, this is where the whole story just pivots. It's not about searching anymore. Now, it's about discovery. And the imagery here, it's just so good. Think about it. A world of nothing but gray and brown. And then suddenly this pulse of soft green light. And the way it's presented on a pedestal, like some kind of sacred artifact, it immediately signals that this thing is special. It's not from around here. So yeah, this is no ordinary seed. This is straight up alien tech. It's a tool built for a purpose so huge, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. Terraforming. And terraforming, that's the key idea that pushes the whole story forward from this point. It's basically about, well, literally remaking a world, engineering a dead planet back to life. So Elara didn't just find a seed, she found the blueprint for a new Earth. But of course, it's never that easy, is it? So the seed, it's not just plug and play, it needs a key to unlock its potential, a very specific energy signature. And guess where that energy is? Yep, in pretty much the most dangerous place you can think of. The unstable core of a derelict power plant. And just like that, we have a new mission, a really clear high-stakes quest. Okay, so you can feel the entire tone of the story shift right here. We're leaving that quiet, mysterious lab behind, and we're thrown into a full-on action tension sequence. Elara has to journey across this ruined world to face a whole new kind of danger. And listen to this description, it's so good. The power plant isn't just a building, it's a skeletal giant. That imagery, it makes the place feel like this ancient, monstrous thing. A dead titan, you know? It just amps up the sense of danger before she even gets close. Once she's inside, the conflict is crystal clear. It's old death versus new life, plain and simple. She's got to get past these threats from the past, these old automated security drones, to grab the one thing that represents hope for the future. That energy crystal. And the story calls the drones relics, which is just the perfect word. They're not just robots. They're like dangerous ghosts from a world that's already gone, still mindlessly carrying out this mission that has absolutely no meaning anymore.
So the action just kicks into high gear. The writing gets really sharp, really direct. You can picture it, right? Elara dodging, weaving through the dark corridors, red laser beams slicing through the air, just barely missing her. And this is it, the climax of her whole quest. She finally makes it to the core chamber. But grabbing this crystal isn't going to be easy. It's not a smash and grab. This is a super delicate operation. One wrong move, and the whole place could go into a catastrophic meltdown.
The author focuses on her trembling hands, and that's such a great little detail. It shows you that even our hero, Elara, is at her absolute breaking point. She needs perfect precision, but the crystal itself is vibrating, which is just a perfect metaphor for the instability and the massive risks she's taking. The second she takes the crystal, the whole power plant just reacts. It's described as groaning, like some giant wounded animal. You've got these power fluctuations shaking everything. It really drives home how close this whole system was to collapse. Her escape is a flat-out race against the clock. So after all that craziness, all that action and tension, this story's tone shifts again. It goes right back to that quiet, hopeful feeling we had at the start. Elara makes it back to the lab, and now we finally get to see the payoff for her incredibly dangerous trip. And here it is, the cause and effect, right in front of us. She does this one simple thing, places the crystal next to the seed, and the result is, well, it's a miracle. But it's not some big, flashy explosion of life. It's something much quieter, much more profound. Just these tiny, almost invisible sprouts starting to push up through the cracks. You know, when you look back at her journey, there are a few key words that really paint the whole picture, don't they? The big goal was always terraforming. The problem was the barren planet. The things in her way were the relics from the past, and the immediate danger was the fluctuation in that dying power plant. Each of those words was like a stepping stone. And that really gets us to the heart of the story, to its main theme. Bringing Earth back isn't going to happen overnight. This seed, it's not a magic wand. It's just the start of a very long, very slow process. It's telling us that real, meaningful change takes patience. It takes dedication. It's a promise, not an instant fix. So this story leaves us with this powerful idea of a patient promise. And that kind of makes you think, doesn't it? What future are we patiently trying to build today? What seeds are we planting? And maybe more importantly, do we have the patience to stick around and watch them grow?